let's take a look at our top selections for the... Hi everybody, Dan Illman here, taking a look at one of 3 graded stakes races at Santa Anita on Sunday. Let's throw up the field for race number 10. It's the Grade 3 Tokyo City Cup. It is the first leg of the $1 Golden Hour Late Pick 4, and it will be run at 1.5 miles on the dirt. There's a strong horse to beat in here in the number 2 Combatant, who won the Grade 1 Big Cap earlier this year at Santa Anita, going 1.25 miles, and has just faced better horses recently. This is strong class relief for a horse that enjoys the distance, and when he breaks well, has the ability to stay relatively close if the pace is moderate to slow. He's by far the horse to beat. The Timeform US Pace Projector, however, might favor one of the horses breaking to his outside. That's the number 3, Tis a Magician, who's stretching out significantly in distance from 1 mile to 1.5 miles. But perhaps if he can control this pace and they don't go fast early, maybe Tis a Magician, a 3-year-old with a bit of upside potential, might be the one to outstay these to the wire. We'll start our discussion in post-position order with the number 1 Cupid's Claws, claimed out of his last 3 races, most recently taken by Craig DeLassy, and it's interesting that this is the first spot for the DeLassy barn. They're running him on dirt for the first time. He's never run on dirt before. He's done well on turf, he's done well on synthetic, and I think he's going to do well at the distance. He's bred to run all day long, and I'm guessing that's why the connections have him in here, because the distance might be the great equalizer for a horse like Cupid's Claws. I don't know if he's the kind of horse that's going to perform well on dirt, however. He's by Kitten's Joy, turf champion, great turf stallion. His progeny do well on grass and synthetic. Just not sure if they're as effective on dirt. We'll see what happens when he gets the kickback for the first time. Cupid's Claw's the 1, though. Distance should not be a problem. The 2 is Combatant, winner of the Big Cap. Thought he looked real good that day. 4 wide passing the stands the first time. Stayed relatively close to the pace. 3 wide all the way around. Looked solid, beating a couple of next out winners. Just overmatched in his 2 subsequent graded stakes races on dirt. 3 back in against By My Standards, one of the better older dirt horses in the country. 2 back in against Maximum Security. And not only in against Maximum Security, but missed the break by about 2 lengths that day and just simply had no chance. And last time out on the turf, it's just not his surface. It was probably a bridge to get to this race. He's the horse to beat based on figures and class lines as a Grade 1 stakes winner. We'll see what we get from Combatant from a gait standpoint. Sometimes he's a little bit slow out of there. That puts him behind the 8 ball, but this distance really helps him out. Tis a Magician, if he can stay the distance, I think might be good enough to pull off a little bit of an upset. Let's watch his most recent race. It was only at 1 mile at Del Mar. He looked good on the lead. Now, this pace was not fast. It was a really sharp ride by Drayden Van Dyke to get Tis a Magician to the lead in a race where the top 2 finishers dominated throughout. That being said, Tis a Magician really galloped out strongly at the end of this 1 mile race. He's a big, good, strong-bodied colt by 2-time Breeders' Cup Classic winner Tiz Now. I don't think there's an issue from a pedigree standpoint or from a physical standpoint, and the way he galloped out after his last race makes me think he is sharp and that maybe he will gallop these horses into the ground. He just outstayed them last time out going 1 mile. I think he's a very interesting candidate, stretching out significantly for the first time. Bold Endeavor is up next, and Bold Endeavor is a horse that's going to try to go turf to dirt, and that resulted in a maiden win for him back at Del Mar during the summer of 2019. He showed speed last time out. Maybe he'll try to show speed and get close to what could be a moderate pace here, but his dirt races, he's mostly a horse that's tactical. He can sit in mid-pack. He can come from off of it. 2 starts back, he was likely compromised by a slow pace in a 1 mile race against Dark Vader, but his dirt races just don't seem to interest me from a buyer's standpoint. He's going to need to improve by leaps and bounds if he's going to take down a horse like Combatant. Muralist is up next, and we'll go back to Muralist's race 2 starts back at Pleasanton. First start against winners. He made it 2 in a row with this win, going 1 mile and a 16th. Good tactical speed. I would expect that tactical speed to be put to nice use in this race. I would expect him to be sitting second off of Tis a Magician, and we'll see if this son of Kentucky Derby winner Street Sense wants to go the 1.5 miles. They tried him on turf last time out. That's probably not his best surface. I like him on the dirt. It's a big step up in class. The horses he was beating in the video we just saw at Pleasanton, mostly of the turf variety. Botantico is up next, and let's take a look at Botantico's most recent race. A third place effort going 1 mile. He was confronted with a slow pace in this race, and he sat just off of it as the beaten favorite, but he was taking on a really good horse in sharp form and Take the 101, and prior to that, a pretty good horse in Dark Vader. He's kept good company this form cycle for trainer Vladimir Serin, and I think Botantico is another horse that's tactical technical enough that can stay close to the pace. He's another horse stretching all the way out after racing at middle distances for the majority of his career. As You'll Coast is a very lightly raced 3-year-old. He is taking a big step up in class, facing his elders for the first time. But in studying As You'll Coast's form and watching his replays, one thing for me is fairly certain. This distance isn't going to be a problem. He just acts like a horse that will stay all day long. We saw that when he won the El Camino Real Derby in his third lifetime start, going 1 1/8 miles. They then ran him in the Santa Anita Derby, and he's just not going to beat horses like Honor, AP, and Authentic, 2 of the best in this year's crop. They ran him on the turf last time out in the La Jolla, probably turf and synthetic. He's slightly better on that surface, but we know he can step on dirt. And 1 1/16 miles is probably just a little bit short for him. I think As You'll Coast is going to run really well here, stretching out to 1.5 miles for the first time. He's the horse with perhaps the most upside potential of any in this race. We take a look at my top selections. I don't want to have too much money in against Combatant, but I think Tiz Magician's a curious pace play to be sure. I have a feeling he's going to like this distance, and if he gets a breather, if they leave him alone on the front end, maybe he can outstay Combatant to the wire. My top 2 in the Grade 3 Tokyo City Cup. It's race number 10 at Santa Anita on Sunday. Approximate post time, 5 o'clock Pacific. Good luck.